God can do abundantly, exceedingly above all that you can ever ask or think. Glory to Jesus. Exceedingly, abundantly, far above all you could ask or think, according to the power that works desiring from Him this tonight, just lay it before God. We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us praise Jesus now. We are standing in His presence on holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us praise Jesus now. We are standing in His presence on holy ground. Hallelujah. You have won the victory. Hallelujah. You have won it all for me. Death could not hold you down. Oh Lord, you are the reason, King. Yeah, you're seated in majesty, oh Lord, yeah. You are the risen King. Yeah. I'd like to say this on the premise on which we are asking God for the things that we ask from Him. The reason we can ask, the reason we can place a demand, and the reason He can do abundantly when we ask according to the power that is in us is because He won that victory. If Jesus had not defeated death and grave, there will be no premise to ask for what we ask for. And so once again, we're going to say hallelujah to the God who has won the victory that has given us access to ask, the victory that has given us access to seek. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You have won the victory. Hey, are we grateful for the blood of Jesus tonight? Hallelujah. Yeah, you have won it all for Satan could not hold. Yeah, yeah, you are the risen King. Yeah, seated in majesty. Oh, you are the reason.
word today. I know that today is going to be another amazing time. And how has work been for you? I'm sure great. Well, even if it was tough, I want to believe that you will get some time to rest and all of that. Tonight again, we bring you another episode. It's like a series, right, where we're talking about finance, career, business, and all of that. And today, I'm not alone, but before I introduce my guest, I'm going to read her profile. And, and I'm sure that, that profile is, going to steer you up to know what exactly to expect. Today, don't forget, the theme for this month is building kingdom wealth. And that's why we're taking our time to have conversations around what to do, how to do business, how to, succeed in your career and all of that. You see, because we're a praying church, we're a praying people. And many times we build spiritual capacity, but we're not able to convert the spiritual capacity into tangible, everyday use for our productivity, for our prosperity, for our productivity. And that's why we're having this kind of conversations. And of course, you know that last week I had a guest. I had, one of my friends, Daniel Okezwe, and interestingly, is a friend to, my guest today again. But before I introduce her, I like to read her profile. So let's see. So with me here, I have Seun Olagunju. Seun is an international development practitioner, working with young people to create innovative solutions that address social problems in their local communities. Between 2020 and 2022, she served as the regional manager for Sub-Saharan Africa at Peace First, a global NGO where she worked to recruit over 2,000 youths across 30 countries in Africa, to coach them, to create change-making solutions in their communities, and to also support them with digital tools and startup funding to implement their change-making ideas. In February 2022, and that's very, very recent, in February 2022, she transitioned to digital strategy at the same organization, Peace First, where she's currently serving at an intersection between international development and technology, working to democratize young people's access to change-making tools and resources, regardless of their location and socio-economic background. And this transition was very easy for her, and I know about this because of where she had worked in technology. And in 3+ years of exploring international development, she has consulted for organizations like the Office of the Vice President in Nigeria, the UNDP, the United Nations, Youth Envoy, and Facebook to build products that equip young people. She has also contributed on global platforms like the Global Youth Forum 2021 and the UN ECOSOC Summit to dialogues between governments and youth leaders on solutions to the challenges affecting young people globally. Finally, in 2019, it looks like a long one. In 2019, she was recognized by Leading Ladies Africa, a regional editorial, as a young woman transforming Africa through impact at the community level. And in 2021, she was also recognized by the United People Global as a sustainability leader in Nigeria. And in March 2021, she was listed by the Young African Leaders Initiative as one of the 30 most influential women in youth leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me my sister. I'm sure I'm both. I can call her my sister and friend, Seun Olagunju. Welcome. That was a long read.
That was a long.
How did that feel?
It felt very. I don't know whether it's just me, but it feels very weird. When your movement is being weird, because it feels like, can we just
skip that part?
Skip.
I know that feeling because in 2015, I did a conference in OAU, and they were to read my profile. I prepared the profile, you know, and they were reading it. They were reading it. At some point, I just felt embarrassed because, I mean, in my little life at that time, what have I achieved that you now have to read all of that? But you know, I also know that it also alludes to the fact that there's something in there that God has put there.
Yeah.
And you know, that information, that knowledge can also help create expectation.
Absolutely.
So let's jump straight into our conversation.
Okay, wait, before we jump straight into the conversation, I was
Yeah.
actually going to say that.
Yeah.
Based on what you just said,
Yeah.
the fact that we've only just lived a little part of our lives, and the profile is already entering like 2 pages.
Yeah.
So you're already like wondering, okay, at what
What's it
point,
gonna look like? Yeah.
what's it going to look like in
Yeah.
like years to come? It actually
Yeah.
gets very weird, you know. When you're,
It does, and it can only get better.
yeah.
We're seeing this conversation to JAPA or not. To JAPA or not, and the emphasis would be on how to find career opportunities even in times of scarcity, in terms of tough economic environment and all of that.
I love it.
Beyond the profile that I've read, I want you to tell us about your journey. Just tell us about yourself that we didn't read in the profile and how you got into tech and development. Just tell us.
That's a very interesting one.
Well, should I say how you got into just your journey so far?
My journey so far.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoy any opportunity that I get to just sort of like speak to young people. It's like everything you read in the profile is like my work is dedicated towards serving young people at this point. So thank you so much. Aside from everything you've read in the profile, I think one thing that is not there is I actually have a background, like an academic background in English language.
Oh.
So my journey into technology is quite funny.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that I planned out on my own.
Yeah.
Because as an English student, even before I got into English, what I really wanted to do was law. So either ways from secondary school, I was an art student.
So you're part of the what I applied for versus what they gave me.
No, I'm not. I've removed myself from that.
Okay.
Like looking at it in retrospect now, I feel like even if I had studied law, I'll still be working in this same path that I am. So it doesn't really change anything. And I also feel like we may not really know the full picture of how our lives turned out.
Yeah.
As long as you're sure that you're walking in the wheel that God wants you to.
Yeah.
So there's no regret in that aspect, right? Whatever the Nigerian government and the university system chose to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was an art student. My favorite subjects were government, English language, you know, the literature. I was never a math person. I was never a science person. So technology was never something that I thought would be my path anywhere in the future. I thought it was for the geeks and the nerds and, you know, really brilliant science students and stuff. And so I spent 4 years at Obafemi Awolowo University studying English language. And I remember at the end of my 4th year, it dawned on me that I actually had no clue what I wanted to do with my degree. Because English is not like a profession.
Yeah.
Say, for example, I studied law. I knew that I was going to become a lawyer. And even if I was steering a different path, I still had that profession to my name, that I'm a lawyer. So if someone says, what do you do? I can always say lawyer, even if I'm not practicing it, right? Same for engineering, same for medicine. But English was like, what would I say? Am I a grammarian? Am I a linguist?
I'm an Englishist.
What am I going? I don't even understand.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that degree. And so I began to do a lot of praying and also very intentionally started to attend workshops and seminars, and there were quite a lot of them at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe because my focus has shifted from that now. I don't know if they still exist, but I'm sure they still are. But then I saw a lot of them and I was, you know, just attending, just applying. And so it was from one of the workshops that I attended that, you know, the CEO to the organization that I interned with, my very first, it was at that particular workshop that the CEO of the organization I interned with first came to speak. And I remember after he spoke, he said something like, I'm willing to give 5 of this young, and this was like maybe 2 weeks after I graduated, after I left school, not graduated, because I still graduated like a year after, because Ife just wasted that 1 year for us. But anyways, 2 weeks after I came back to Lagos from Ife, was that workshop, and then he gave us the
opportunity
to intern. And I remember because I was so young, like I was really young, I felt like, let me just do this thing for like 3 months. I'm just looking to intern anyways. It's not like I'm serious, you know. So I went there, I had an interview. They were impressed with my interview, and then they said something like, oh, 3 months is actually too small for you to give us. Can you give us at least 5 months? And do you know that 5 months actually turned into 4 years?
Wow.
Within that same organization.
Wow.
I wasn't at the same place, and the organization also didn't stay at the same place. When I joined, it was in Sidify. They were doing, they were posting job vacancies so that young people could apply. By the time I left, the organization had become Seamless HR. They were doing technology products, you know, for African businesses everywhere. So I sort of like moved from an intern who was trying to verify whether the job we were posting was real or fake, to somebody that was actually building products. By the times, it was actually a very interesting one. Now, development, I could say that one was already somewhere in my path.
So before you come to development, I also know that you have your own non-profit organization. But it's like you've not been doing so much in recent times. Because
I kind of like took a pause so that I could
focus on, and then
even recalibrate and put everything together.
So as you were talking about the tech and all of that, I remember, by the way, Seun and I were colleagues at Seamless HR. Well, both inside the fire and Seamless HR. And I remember the first day I walked into the office when I resumed, you know, you were one of the people that struck me. I can't forget, you were wearing an afro. Right, and I was like, who is this very, very bushy afro and all of that? And then you were kind and all that, wanting to get me settled in and all of that. And it's been a beautiful journey all the while. And at that time also, I knew that you also had your own
non-profit.
Your own non-profit, and I think it was one of the things that even also made me more interested in what you were working on and all that. So you want to tell us that story?
Yes, I mean, that was why I said development was sort of like in the works for me. It was also it wasn't also very straightforward, because development is not a term you hear in Nigeria. There's nowhere in our curriculum where there's international development or development. So that one too was a deliberate effort for me to identify what field this thing that I call my passion actually fit into. But then before I left Ife, I'd been doing a couple of charitable works here and there. I used to go to the orphanage. I used to do all of those things. It was just like something I couldn't get by. No matter how hard I tried to focus on the serious stuff, I just always found myself always going back to trying to help my local community. And so when I got back to my community, when I came back to Lagos, my parents stay in Ota, so I went back to Ota. And then I saw young girls like me who were dropping out of school, were getting pregnant, you know, for very flimsy reasons, because maybe they didn't have something and this guy provided it, so they slept with him and stuff. And there was something I saw there, because growing up, I had actually struggled with low self-esteem myself. So I saw that in them, and I'm like, if I could turn out like this, I wasn't even here yet. But I just felt like I'd gotten myself an education. I was sort of on a good path. So I felt they too could, you know, go through that same path, if only they had access to the right knowledge and the right tools, and somebody could just bring it to them. So that was where my own non-profit started from. I used to call it Beyond the Surface, because I wanted them to see that outside of your local community and your physical appearance, there's still so much more to you. You just don't know what it is yet. So I did that for a couple of years, and actually that even led to my transition out of Seamless HR into the organization that I eventually now currently start working with.
So would you describe that as your career growth, or?
No, that's not my career growth.
Okay, so tell us about, can you describe briefly what your career growth has been?
Okay, that was just my journey.
Okay.
From where I started from to where I am now.
And sorry, I'm pausing you a bit. The reason we're having this conversation, for different reasons, one of the key reasons is because many times, like you said, we hardly talk about people who have passion for helping people. We don't talk about how you can profit, how you can make money by helping people, right? And that's why we're having this kind of conversations. And it also dovetails into how you can get into your career, what your career growth would be, and all of that. So I want people to have this mindset to know that it's not just an open conversation. It is, as much as it is open and general, it is also niched again to people who have passion to help people. And let me encourage you, if you're joining us, By the way, if you have not shared the link to this broadcast, please do it right now. All right, let somebody know that something is going on and let them get blessed. Also, like, comment, share, and do all the things that you can do to interact with this. Don't forget to pick the lessons. You know, lessons are always hidden in stories. She said a couple of things. For example, it was 1 year period that she was waiting to get graduation happen. That's when she had the opportunity to intern.
Yeah. All
right, so internship, 7 people. Even though it didn't look like something that was serious, but eventually it became very, very serious. Please take note of these points, take note of these wisdom keys, and look for ways to practicalize them. So let's get back into your career growth.
Awesome. So that was the one I shared earlier, was like my journey to where I am now. In terms of growth, you know, a lot of things go into making something grow, and that's just the honest thing. A lot of work goes into making something grow. It's like when you have maybe a plant and you just leave that plant in your room or outside. If you don't pay attention to it, it's going to die. It's not just going to grow on its own. Some things could sustain it physically, like the sun, but if you're not watering it, if you're not doing all those things, it's just going to die, right? And it's the same principle that applies to our career. There actually is a lot of work that goes into making your career grow. We can't just be complacent and expect that because we've spent a certain number of years doing something, we're just automatically supposed to grow at it. So in my own case, it was, like I said, I started out as an intern that was young, that was only looking to spend about 3 months in that organization. And to be honest, the job I was doing, it wasn't, you know, what I saw for myself, but I just felt like it was an opportunity for me to get into the market and at least just equip myself with certain skills I could pick here and there.
So equipping yourself with skills.
Yes, equipping myself with skills. That was like one of my major, I just didn't want to sit at home waiting for school to graduate me, waiting for NYSC to post me. That seems like the trajectory that a lot of young people are waiting for. After school, I do my service. After service, I start looking for a job. But in my own case, by the time my service came, I was already working. I already had a job. And even though I was posted to Bauchi, my job actually worked for me to come back because I was adding value to the organization. Right, so that could be, it might not be the same for everybody, but that could be, there could be something in there.
I mean, like you said, there could be something in there. So it means that, and I have one of my sisters, you know, is in that shoe now. Instead of serving somewhere else, because there's already a job, it was easier to redeploy because an organization needed them. So I see people paying money to get reposted. Meanwhile, somebody who values what you're contributing can pull their weight, can throw in their weight to get you back into the environment that you want to. Why?
Yes,
because you're adding value.
That's an option, yes, it's very possible. So I started out as an intern, and then I remember my first salary was like 17K. It was so small, and I was coming from Ota to Lagos to Ikeja every day.
Ota to Lagos.
Yes, I was doing that every weekday. I was doing that, and I
on
kept doing it.
Naira.
Yeah, on 17K. Thank God, my dad really helped. So he used to give me 1K every morning. That I use it for transport. Because imagine if I was using that for transport as well. But to be honest, my salary has not stayed the same. Even within that same job role. You know, by the next month, I remember my boss was like, you're doing a lot of work and you're coming from a very far place, so let's add an additional. And then by the third month, let's add an additional, and then just kept going up from there, you know. And so I started as an intern, and then later they found out that I had skills to write, you know, really well. So they sort of moved me from an intern into a full-time position at the time. And then I started writing for the organization's blog. I started writing copy for the website and all that. And I remember it still kept going until a window opened up for me to sort of like when the organization morphed into a tech company. And I feel like that's something to learn, because sometimes when changes are happening around you, there really could be opportunities for you to, you know, there could be an opportunity for you to be plugged into something new, right? So in my own case, they needed somebody to assure the quality of the products that were being built. And they had seen from my previous work that I was very meticulous, I used to pay attention to detail, and they needed that kind of person to be the one. So they asked me if I was interested. That was actually how I got into tech. It was a case of, are you interested in taking up this role? Because from your previous role, we saw that you could do so and so. And I was like, okay. the funny thing is, if I had applied to a technology company, I might have not gotten into it because I didn't have the skills. So this one it was a window that just opened up. And then I said, okay, no problem. So I took it, and then I did that one for like 1 to 2 months. And then after doing that,
go ahead.
Okay, and then after doing that, another opportunity opened up again because I now began to research about that role. And then when I started to research about that role, I found out that in other tech companies, you know, what I was working on at that time, it was called documentation. I had moved from quality assurance to documentation.
Yeah.
It wasn't known.
Yeah.
It wasn't the standard across.
So you can even say that you created the department for the organization.
I want to believe that, yes, I was one of the people that contributed to it, because I remember I went to meet the CTO, and then I told him, I said, I've been doing a lot of research about this documentation, this role, and this role, my colleagues in other tech companies, they're not doing this role. They don't know it. So if ever I have to leave this company and I say this is what I've done, they might not be able to translate it. However, I have found another role that is widely known and also does the same work, you know, is recognized as either technical writing or product management. And then he said, oh, they had also been to Silicon Valley that year, and they realized that they needed to create a product management team. So when they created that team, it was easy for them to just move me into it because I had asked questions about it. So that was how I moved into that as well. So from an intern to being a full-time employee because of so many things. I'm sure there are like a lot of lessons that I've already shared there that people can just speak. And then going for, that's actually like, all this thing I'm saying, this is like 2019, 2020.
Yeah, so it's not even a long period of time, as it were.
It's not a long, and it's just still a little of the growth that I've experienced in my journey since 2020 down to 2022.
Wow, that's amazing. So it begins with, many times people are consumed and overwhelmed by the big picture. But in what I've observed in life, and like in your example too, it's not about the big picture. Many times it's about how God is taking you. It's about the journey. It's about the opportunities that God brings your way per time. And eventually, those opportunities and occurrences would add to who you would get to become eventually. So we've had lessons from your story, like volunteering, interning. Also, there's a place of dedication and hard work. Right? You know, ordinarily somebody who got a job to do just right and to ensure that something happens, you would have ordinarily just felt, okay, let me do my job well. And then you keep doing your job well. And nothing would happen after that, because they'll get to pay you for what you're doing, but your promotion eventually was in your hands. And that was in your diligence to study, to research, to find out what exactly is obtainable elsewhere. You weren't just thinking local. You weren't just thinking customized to your own immediate environment. You were thinking global. You were thinking the industry generally. And then it brought you into that. The third lesson, certainly, you have something to say. But the third lesson, certainly, is you mentioned the fact that they saw that you paid attention to details. And that has something to do with your personality. You are introverted. And one of the key attributes, or one of the key advantages of introverts, is the fact that they have attention to details, and especially melancholy people who are males and all that, because you're not out there every time. You take your time to introspect. You take things in. You're able to analyze. You're able to, you know, pieces things, and you are able to query things even to the tiniest detail. That has to do with your personality, and that was like a plus for what you were doing eventually. And that's to say that many times when you're looking at the kind of career to get into, what you want to do and all that, you also want to check how God built you, because usually it's going to inform what exactly you are going to be doing. You
know, funny enough, it might not always be.
Oh, definitely not. But you know, it's just a point to check. Because, you know, yes, there's your personality, but it shouldn't totally define your identity. Definitely not.
So because now you've just said that being introverted means that you pay special attention to detail. Someone else who is not introverted will now say, oh, that's why I don't pay attention to detail, because I'm an extrovert.
That's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
That's just a plus to that personality type. It's just a plus to take advantage of. Because The reason I even brought that out is because many times people look at what they cannot do because of what their personality is. And then I just brought that out from the perspective of what you can do with a personality. Of course, there's always a battle between nature and nurture, and that is who you are and what you can become. Whoever you are, you can become anything through training, through practice, and all of that.
Absolutely.
So it has to be a balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Yes, what I wanted to say also spoke to what you said earlier about how sometimes it's not about seeing the big picture. You know, while that is true, and just, you know, taking advantage of every opportunity that God brings to you now, there's also the place of you asking God to sort of give you a vision of where He's taking you to. You may not know it in the full, you know, in the biggest, like the full picture. Some people do, some people don't. Like David knew that he had been anointed as a king. He would be king one day. Daniel didn't know. It was just a case of him going and just walking that path. But in my own case, I knew what I didn't want to. Even though I was doing internship, I knew where I wasn't going to work. And I knew where I wanted to work, because I'd sort of seen it. And even as I was working those jobs, I still knew where I was going to. Even as I'm here, I still sort of know where I'm going to, and it's not even determined on how I am right now, because I know I'm still going to do really big things,
really
right?
big things.
So there's also that place of you identifying, even if it's just a tiny picture of where you want to be, or where you believe God is taking you to, and then now drawing back to saying, what opportunities can I begin to take from now that leads me there? So I just also wanted to put in my that.
So let me ask you the question, because I don't understand how this time is flying. I want to ask you a question around why you think there's a problem of unemployment and underemployment generally, in a very, very quick note.
I've actually had some time to think about this particular problem, and there are two things I can think of. I think first of all, the number, let me localize it to Nigeria. The number of young people that are applying, or the number of people that are applying for jobs is not commensurate to the number of jobs that we have available. That's one. That one is it's a problem we can all see, so I won't even delve into that. Now, the second problem is that the number of people that are skilled for more recent jobs that are available is actually also very low. So let's assume that we've all gone to school, because our curriculum is not updated. We've studied law, English, engineering, and all of that. So we come out expecting to get a job in a law firm, a job with a school, a job in an engineering firm, mining, and then there are no jobs because they are very limited, and he's already booked. And then we have the baby boomers, the generation that does not want to leave their job anyway. So you are competing with them. Then we now have more recent jobs. We have jobs in climate action. We have jobs in cloud computing. We have all those jobs.
Climate action. It looks like something interesting. I'd have loved to ask you to talk about it, but maybe another time. So this is going to be like a research assignment for someone.
I mean, so we have all those jobs that we didn't go to school to study, and so we're not skilled for them. So they're available, they need people, but they can't put you there because you don't have the skills for it. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why people are unemployed and underemployed. There are not enough jobs that fit into the kinds of degrees that we went to school to study. But now the jobs we can do without our degree, we're not even skilled for them anyway. So.
Wow. So how do we land a job? That's the question. If you're saying that people are not skilled enough for the available jobs, so how do you land a job?
I'm just going to share this one from my own personal experience.
Please go ahead.
And I'm going to throw it back to everyone who is listening to this particular conversation with questions, because I believe that when you have the right questions, you can actually now start thinking about things yourself. So instead of me saying this is how you land the job, I'll just ask you, first of all, what kind of job do you want? It's very important. I remember one time, I think when I was 20 or something, I actually sat down and I said, what kind of job do I want? Based on how I've been built by God, I knew where my passions were. I knew where my strengths were. I knew what weaknesses I had that I could grow, you know, like I could take on a challenge to actually develop them and all that. And then I remember drawing something like a circle, like a pie chart. And I said, if I got a job that every morning when I'm going to that job, I am happy, like I love that job. If I got a job where the output of the work I do leaves me fulfilled, I feel very fulfilled doing it. If I got a job that I was making plenty money at, you know, if I got a job where I was impacting lives, impacting people, impacting my community, like I just drew a circle and I put everything together and I said, if I got a job that is right at the center of the circle, then I've gotten my dream job. You know, as at that time I wasn't doing the job I had. It fit maybe one or two pieces of the circle, but it wasn't all, right? So the first question I'll ask is, what kind of job do you want? That's something we don't think about. We just want any job as long as it's paying us, but you're only eating half or part of the pie. You're not actually going round. So we have people that are making money but they're not feeling fulfilled, people making money but they don't love their jobs and all that. Second question is, what field? Now this is assuming that you already say, okay, this job, you may not know the name of that job, you may not know what name. Funny enough, somebody created the name product management, somebody created the name international. So you could be the first to create the name of your own job. You just have an idea that, okay, this is the job, if I can have it, it's fine. And then the second question that you're asking yourself is, what field does this job currently fit under? So for me, in my own case, I realized that I wanted a job that was, if I could get a job, I was helping people, doing all of those things. People will say, go and volunteer, go and do all of those things. But me, I knew that if I was going to take this thing on as a profession, there has to be a field it was playing under. And that was a deliberate attempt that I then took before I found out that there was a field called international development and I was going to play in that field. Third question to ask is, what kinds of people are actually working in this field right now? Are there people working in the field? Who are they? Where are they? Where can I find them? Those kinds of questions. You realize that there are communities that these people have that you can then begin to join. From joining those communities, you begin to hear that, oh, there's a vacancy here, there's an opportunity for an outreach here, and then you begin to do some of those things that they are doing. And I think the last question is, what kind of skills are there required of me to land this job that I want? So when you answer all these questions, you not only know the kind of job you want, you know the field that that job is in. So you realize that if you're playing somewhere else at the moment, there's somewhere else you should be. You also realize that there are people there who you begin to then try to connect with, learn from, and do all of those things, ask questions from and all that. And then you find out what skills that are required, and then you begin to build those skills. I feel like if you have all of that, when you see a vacancy that is pointing to that job, you will know that, oh, this is the job for me, right? And because you've built your skills, you'll be able to land it.
Amazing. So is that the same case for landing international jobs or working in a multinational?
Oh yes, it's about the same. It's about the same thing. I feel like the only thing I'll put there is, for multinationals, where are the platforms that they are posting their vacancy?
That's key.
Yeah, that's very key. Because it's not like the jobs are not there. It's just that you don't know where to find them. So maybe one question that we could ask ourselves is, where are they posting their vacancies? Is it on LinkedIn? So even though I hate LinkedIn, I'm not talking about myself, I love LinkedIn. I don't use LinkedIn every day, but I'm using it for my good. So in a way, some young people, millennials, Gen Z, hate LinkedIn because when you go to LinkedIn, everything feels so tailored, so doctored, everybody's excited that something is happening. I'm so excited I landed a job, I'm so excited I got it. I'm so excited. Always happening. It doesn't feel realistic on LinkedIn because we also have millions of people searching for jobs and they're wondering, how come you guys got all of these good news and testimonies? But at the same time, if you use LinkedIn well, if your profile is very well optimized on LinkedIn, you realize that people are actually checking out your profiles. I know several people that have gotten jobs off LinkedIn, and then these companies post their applications on LinkedIn because you're not there. You don't find it. It's not just LinkedIn. There are several other platforms that they use. So as long as, in my own field, so one of the platforms that they use is Opportunity Desk. Opportunity Desk is a page on Instagram that I found and I started to follow. And I see opportunities about scholarships, opportunity about fellowships. An organization in my own is looking for jobs. Like, I see all those things there. There's also opportunities for youth. There's opportunities for Africans. So there are platforms they post their vacancies on. If you can find that, then you're already looking in the right direction. Second is, since you already know the kind of job you want now, and so you go on Google, and then you look out for, it could be past vacancies of the jobs that they had put out there before, and then you start to read up the job descriptions for the kind of candidates they would have considered ideal. So you see, oh, we need a candidate that can do this, that can do that, that can do this, that can do that. And even though you're not there yet, you know exactly what they are looking for, and then you can begin to build yourself so that in a couple of years or months or weeks, when another opportunity opens up, might be with that company or another, you actually know how to be the candidate that they would then consider ideal in that place. So I feel like those are the things I did.
Yeah.
And then I landed a job with a multinational.
Yeah. So that's because, again, that's where the question of whether to JAPA or not comes in, because one of the reasons some people want to JAPA is because they want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now think about people travel in pursuit of greener pastures.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you're wearing a green gown.
Green and white. Nigerian color.
Nigerian. Okay, now interesting. and it's because we want to earn in foreign currencies.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they get there, and what they earn is not even commensurate with what is needed to keep them living well when they get there. For example, there was a story of I think pastors talked about the story of somebody who the mother of the guy calls him and says, Pastor, please help me thank God, oh, my son has started earning in dollars, oh. And then he asked her, how much? And she said $3,000. And he was like, no, that's not money, oh. $3,000 is nothing if you are living abroad. Because again, just for housing, you might be paying, say, $1,500. Just for accommodation per month, you might be paying $1,500 for a decent accommodation and all that.
Yeah.
And you barely have. Whereas $3,000 monthly salary in Nigeria means a lot.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is a conversion into our own currency here. So you're not spending exactly. So would you say also that those things that you just mentioned now are your own secret to career growth and success?
Well, in terms of this jackpotting thing, honestly, if you are a Nigerian and you're a young person at this moment, it would have crossed your mind. Let's not lie. Even as I am all for social change, this country, we have to build it together, but then you hear that some people are traveling in a train and government just came and killed everybody. They're like, it's not even that is alive that's going to do the social change.
Yes.
So there's no way you would have not thought about it that should I just leave this country or should I not? But that's where we are different, and I'm speaking about we in terms of Christians.
Yeah.
Because you can't just live your life because everybody is doing it, right? We've had to ask ourselves some questions, and I'm sure as young people you might have thought, I have friends now that, every December they come to the country and they do, I just got back, and the accent is all British and American and all that. And you're wondering, when their own parents went, where was my own parents? Why did they also not go? Nigeria was better at some point. They could have gone, even if it's to Ghana. And every December, I'll come back and I just got back. I'll be speaking Ghanaian accent, So why did my own parents stay here? So now it looks like we are in the place where we're also making the same choices for our children.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, there's now a flood of young people that are migrating from this country. So if you give it like 20 more years, we all have children now, their own children will be coming back, and you that you stayed here, your children will be like, but mommy, there was a time that these people were going, why didn't you also go? And so you're thinking, should I just go? Should I just do all of these things? But the honest truth is, I remember I was speaking with one of my friends and he asked me that question, and then I threw the question back at him, and he said he was reading the Bible. And it got to the place where, these people, like, I can't remember which tribe, what country, they had come to capture, David's family, including his wife. And even though the right and the normal thing, the most overt thing to do was to pursue and to bring his wife back, he still went and he went to ask God that, should I pursue these people? Am I going to overtake them? Am I going to, it seems crazy because he didn't need to ask. It's your wife we're talking about, pursue them. Even if you die in battle, pursue them. But he still went back and he went to ask God and said, should I do it? And until God said, okay, do it, pursue, you will. That's when he did it. So a lot of us might be trying to leave the country, but we're not going back to go and ask God, everybody is leaving, but should I leave? Would I flourish? Would I thrive? What country do you want me to go to? How do I apply? How do I get in? We just want, okay, Canada is where everybody is. And then you don't do it and you get there and you're not thriving because that's not where you're supposed to be. So you need to recognize two things in the area of this jackpotting. First of all, is that where God has asked you to be? And then the second thing is now the right time for me to actually do it. So you could actually God could actually have an assignment for you there. You could actually go there and flourish. But if you go when it's not the right time, you can struggle a little bit, right? You might struggle a little bit, but if you go when the time is right to the land that God has called you to go, then regardless of whatever the economy is or their standard of living, you definitely flourish, you definitely thrive because you're in the right place. So that's just what I see about these
Amazing. Amazing. Because we need to tidy this conversation soon, I want you to talk about the development space.
Okay.
Especially with respect to financing, what's possible, because we hardly talk about this, right? I want you to talk about the development, whether local or international. What are the possible opportunities and where can people plug in?
Okay, thank you for asking that. I think that when people think development, they think non-profits alone.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of local NGOs to say, I don't want to play in that field. But the development space is so big, and you can actually sector it into 3 major categories.
Okay.
So there is civic management.
Okay.
Civic management is where the local non-profit and the international non-profit actually play into. And the whole idea behind civic is that my work is geared towards serving a community of people hands-on. So I'm the one doing the work. So whether I go into the communities to go and speak to them, donate, all of those things, I'm actually working in the area of civic management. Then there is the other sector, which is business and entrepreneurship. Because non-profits don't make a lot of money, so they actually need money coming from people that are actually in business. So there's a way you can start a business, but with development in mind, that the money that I'm making from this work, or some of the proceeds I'm making from my profits, will actually go into serving a community or serving a sector of people. And so we have organizations now that are into social entrepreneurships. We have O&O. It's a business, right? But they have O&O Foundation. We have Dangote, and then we have Dangote Foundation. So you, as someone that wants to play in that field, you don't have the interest to be going to the communities and all that, but you can be working with a foundation that is doing that and using your skills there. And then the third sector is then public service and governance. That's actually where government is working in. It's a development sector because they're also serving people. So there are some things they cannot do. Buhari might not be able to come now and say, I want to go and donate to, but he can pump some part of the money that, you know, Nigeria is making into that sector, send it to civic management, and then they will do the work for him. And then we also have multilateral organizations also working there. It's public service, like the United Nations, WHO, African Development Bank. Those people are multilateral organizations, and they're also working in development. So you find that most people, you can say, my end goal is to work with the UN. You are still working in the development space anyway. So if you're going to be here, I'll say you start doing some research about development, choose which of the sectors you want to play in, and then begin to look for the kind of jobs that fit into those things.
So, but is there career growth opportunity in that space? Like, you know that if I start from entry level, I can become a manager in the next few years and something. Is that something like that?
I mean, right now, I'm working in civic management. I know my trajectory in a couple of months or years might go into governance and public service. But right now, I'm working in civic management. And even as I am working with an international nonprofit, I've grown from being a fellow. So usually it starts with fellowship. You realize that if you follow opportunity desk, you realize, join this fellowship, 1 year fellowship, UN Women is calling for fellowship, sometimes is calling for fellowship. So you start there. It's not for every organization. I'm just speaking from experience. So I started as a fellow. I was a fellow for a year, and then I renewed my contract as a fellow for another year, and then I moved into a full-time position, and I took a managerial position, and then in a couple of maybe days, I'm getting another contract to actually get into a senior managerial position. So there is that growth, and it starts from, you know what we talked about, what kind of job do you want? I wanted a job that I could grow in. I didn't want a job that was just, I wanted a job that I could take professional courses in, I could take exams in, could be identified as something. That was part of the answers I gave myself for the kind of job I wanted, and that was what I got. So for you in the development space, not just I'm volunteering today, I'm volunteering tomorrow. There's actually a whole lot more than that. You know,
it must be intentional.
You have to be very intentional to say, this is the kind of job I want in this development space. So where are these jobs? Where are they? You know, what are the people currently there? Ask them questions, do all of those things, and then begin to now build your skills so that you can also get those kind of jobs. But to answer your question, yes, there's career growth. You might not be working as in the tech field. You might be working in education. You might be working in project management. And you find that the United Nations need a project manager, and you apply, and then you also grow there, and you're working for a development field anyway. So they are.
Thank you very much. It's been a really amazing conversation. I'd like to close on this final note. We talked about the fact that there are opportunities, you know, you can do this and all that. Can you list some of the opportunities possible? Maybe like volunteering opportunities, paid and unpaid. Like I know from your profile, we read about yearly And
Yes.
personally, I'm a mentor for Yali.
Okay.
And a couple of other organizations. So I also know about World Merit, because I'm also part of World Merit, and some other. So please, can you just tell us some of these that we can easily find ourselves into?
So because my forte is international development, most of them will be in that field, right? So, but if you're looking at civic management, if that's your field, if that's the sector you want to play in, then you could visit, there's this website, it's called Unzuriaiki.
Yeah, Unzuriaiki.
It's owned by Raquel Daniels.
Yeah.
So if you go there, you find organizations that are looking out for volunteers. So you might be looking like, I want to volunteer, I want to build my portfolio in that regard, but I don't even know where to start from. If you go there, you find so many within your vicinity that you can start to play under.
And the good thing about Unzuraiki is that if you have an NGO, you can also
you can list
yourself,
it.
You can list it and all of that.
And ask for.
I'm particularly talking about it because the owner of that platform is our person.
You just know everybody. You know everybody and you're doing everything. So, but anyways, there's Unzuriaiki.
Yeah.
There is Opportunity Desk. Funny enough, Opportunity Desk for me has been, if you check my saved post on Instagram, you find a lot of opportunities I've just saved. It even makes you aware of the fact that we're not young forever. Because some of these opportunities have, if you're between the ages of this and this and this and that, so you'll be thinking, I'm going to wait till I'm about, but then after a while, maybe your first attempt, they didn't pick you, second attempt, they didn't pick you, third attempt, I should have started these things. So there's Opportunity Desk, Opportunity for Youth, Opportunity for Africans. There's Space First. If you're already having maybe like an initiative where you started something, and you want to learn how to actually build the right solutions to the problem you're solving and even get some funding for it, you can always go to Peace First. You get mentors, you get coaching, you get all of those things there.
Oh, by the way, I was supposed to do a training for
Peace First.
We'll talk about that later.
You know me, I've not left the program still. I work in the digital strategy product, so but we can always talk about it. I can always link you with whoever is in
public
that.
Service announcement.
Okay. PSC.
Tell us more.
So, but then there's that. Another thing is join communities. There's Yali, Young African Leaders Initiative, was created by Barack Obama, so it's actually very legit. And Yali also has sectors, so you can be playing on that Yali for everybody. You can move further to the regional level, RLC, and you can even do the global level, which is Mandela Washington Fellowship, MWF. So there's that. There's Global Shapers. Global Shapers can be a bit more exclusive to get into, but if you do, they also have a very wide all of that. And then there are other communities that you just need to apply. Once you get in, you become a part of their community, like One Young World. You become an alumni and all of those things. Off the top of my head, these are the ones I can remember, but there are still a whole lot.
Amazing. And then there are opportunities. Sometimes you get paid, sometimes you don't get paid. And the interesting thing, like you said, is there are mentoring opportunities in some of these organizations. For example, I know someone, I don't know if you know, is a founder of Area High.
Yes, Larry Shepa.
Yeah, Larry. I know how Larry, I mean, I can still remember vividly when Larry was inducted into Ibadan Shapers, or, Global Shapers Ibadan and all that. And he has grown from just that and some other things to having his own organization, build it to a big...
he's actually someone that inspires me, honestly, because I love his journey and I see a bit of myself in him, in the sense of, I don't just want to stay on one level. Whatever is possible within this field, the highest I can build, so I'm going to do that. And that's something that really inspires me.
That happens, one of the reasons that happens is that when you're in that community, like you said, you find other people doing stuff. Imagine that you're in the same organization with a Larry or with you, and you see stories, you hear stories, you see their journey, and you just know that this thing is possible. Today, Larry is raising money, he's raising something $1,000, he's raising this, that, and all that. And it all started on a really small job, and the passion is just helping people.
I think another thing I need to say is to emphasize the importance of these communities. For every time that I've been invited to consult for an international organization that is high level, Facebook, the UNDP, most recently the UN Youth Envoy, it was from the organizations that I represented, that I came through. It wasn't just, we identified a young person that is doing work, bring her, let's join. It was a case of them delegating to maybe an organization in Nigeria and saying, help us identify youth organizations or people that are working within youth organizations that we can be with. And that's why I've been in the same room with someone like Ishola Owonikoko, that currently is the president of the Carrington Youth Fellowship, and all those people, because they invited us together in a room. We'll do the same consultations together and then we go. So even if you're not a part of their community, but you're a part of one, that's another way to actually access, getting into spaces that brings you into other communities, meeting other young people, and even maybe getting to the point of consulting for high-level organizations too. So communities are really important.
Wow, amazing. Communities are very important. And interestingly, on Tuesday at prayer meeting, Tuesday morning prayer meeting, Breakthrough Fire Service, one of the key things that our senior pastor emphasized on was communities. Don't do life alone. In fact, if there's anything that you have taken from this, it is never to do life alone. Get out of your own shell, get out of the people that you already have, move into new environments, meet new people, join sustainable communities, get people to inspire you, motivate you, fire you up, and get the best out of life. Because even though there are few opportunities, there are still enough opportunities for people who are serious enough, determined enough, hungry enough for success. We'll draw the curtain on this note, and I don't know if you have any final words, or we just go because we are really out of time.
Final words is, see, when an opportunity presents itself and it's the right opportunity, even if it feels like you're being underpaid, even if it looks like it's not adequate for you, even if you feel unqualified, just apply. And as long as you get your foot in the door, it's an easier way to prove your worth to that company or that field or that sector. And if you do your work well, you then get, excellent work will always bring more work for you. And so you then get, more work added to you, and that's how you grow.
And
so that's just where I'm going to end.
Thank you very much. All right, before we close, I'd like to give you an opportunity to give an offering. So if you check the screen right now, there's the account details. Please do well to give. You want to give your offering, you want to give your tithe, you made a pledge, you want to redeem. This is an opportunity to do that. And I'm just going to release the blessing of God over you. Father, I pray for everyone giving right now. I declare that their seeds are blessed. Amen. In the name of Jesus. Amen. I declare that this will be a token, it will be a seed for your elevation. Amen. In this month, as we have conversations around money, wealth, prosperity, you will not just hear it, Amen. You would experience it. Amen. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So that was TRYBE Square for today. Of course, every Sunday at Holy Ghost Christian Center Solution Arena, we have two services, 7:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, we have a prayer meeting, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Before you get to work, just come pray yourself into all the victories that you desire and that you deserve. And on Thursdays at 8 p.m., we come like this for TRYBE Square. And occasionally we have on-site meetings. Do your best to be a part of any of this as it is convenient for you. If you can't join on-site, you can always join online. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so right now. Like a friend would say, it doesn't bite. All right, so subscribe right now to our YouTube channel, HCC TRYBE 1839. God bless you. See you again next week.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thank you very much, you.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.